No, not in like the 50s.
And we're live.
If they did, it's not the Whopper.
It's not the Whopper of the day. It's probably like more real than back in the day. Salvi, we'll start off the question with if you had to smoke cigs every day, or you had to eat a double Whopper with fries and a Coke every day, what would it be?
Double Whopper.
Wait, is it just one cig?
I don't know. I don't know the number of cigs that would be comparable, but whatever number of cigs
Yeah.
would be comparable.
Mm-hmm. I'd probably go.
I'll go with cardiac issues. Get some protein in there.
I'd rather go with I'd go with the double Whopper for sure.
And the Coke and the fries.
Blair agrees, the double Whopper.
Double Whopper.
And Rhonda, good morning from Vegas.
Because it's more enjoyable, or because they actually?
Yeah, I'm gonna drop the question here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking.
Hey, Zane.
Is more damaging?
Which one's more damaging? Okay.
To the human body.
Which one's more damaging to the human body?
More likely to cause you health issues, all that stuff is what I'm trying to get at.
Oof, that's interesting. Good morning, Lucinda. That's a very interesting one. We might have to hit up some Metfix with, definitely. All right, so we have a fun. Yeah, Miranda's finishing her homemade sourdough. It's been really cool. Would you rather eat a double Whopper fries or smoke a cig a day? And fries.
I'd definitely go cig if it was only one, maybe.
If it was just one cig a day, huh? Smoke a cig a day.
I've never smoked a cig, but I feel like one cig.
Where did you draw this from? Is it because of the issues that they were dealing with back then with your grandpa's pics?
No, I was just considering that none of the people in those photos were overweight.
Right.
My grandpa was a heavy smoker.
But he was just a heavy smoker. That's right.
Which means all the kids that lived in that home were heavy in the secondhand smoke.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it was rough, huh? All right, so we got a fun episode today, which kind of falls in line. We've been dropping a lot of nutrition. I wouldn't say kind of, right? I feel like we've been dropping a bit of nutrition content, whether it be meal prepping or whether it be on my personal page. Okay, Rhonda says she's an ex-smoker and she says Whopper all day.
Nice.
But the question that you're asking is which one's going to have more long-term effects?
Somebody who's an ex-Whopper a day person.
Ask an ex-Whopper a day, huh? Okay, cool. Sounds good. What's up, Julie? What's up? All right. Good morning, Emily. Good to see you. Mara has never had a Whopper.
And I've never had a cigarette.
Good for you. You know, I was actually on social media. I was on Instagram this morning, and I guess Taco Bell has like this whole kind of like we experienced with Journeys, right? Like they have this whole summit, and it seems like they had this whole Apple-looking show where they displayed their new menu for 2025. And it was wild.
Are they doing Tony Robbins cheering about it?
Kind of. When you pan out to the audience, you're just like, maybe don't do that. Go back. You know.
They were the managers of all the best.
It was interesting. But the menu, I mean, they just are complete. They're going to bring new coffee in, just so you know, if you want Taco Bell coffee. They're bringing in chicken nuggets, like chicken strips or something like that, which is very interesting. You know, for the keto lovers, they're doing instead of a tortilla shell, it's going to be a cheese shell.
If you're eating keto and you go to Taco Bell, there's something wrong.
If you're a keto eater and you're going to Taco Bell, it's just you're not vibing with what's supposed to be going on, huh?
You completely lost it at that point.
Yeah, man, I should have saved it, Nelson. I should have, and I should have sent it to you. That was my mistake. All right, well, let's go ahead and before we get into it, because we're going to be talking about nutrition today. You know, we have a bunch of cool questions that we're going to ask, and I think it's appropriate. On my social media page, I've been dropping my salsa recipes and meal prepping. Miranda, we haven't been posting this on our social media, but it smells like a bakery every time we walk in here now.
Hold on, where's Chris getting this information from? You actually believe the internet?
He ChatGPT'd it.
ChatGPT is run by someone.
By a Whopper
that has vested interest.
Both eating a double Whopper regularly and smoking a cigarette a day are harmful to your health, but smoking a cigarette a day is generally considered worse for the overall long-term health.
Occasionally eating a double Whopper, not every day.
Every day.
I also included the soda and the fries in that equation.
Chris, update the ChatGPT.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say, if our members haven't figured it out, I'm a heavy conspiracy person. I don't believe anything. I actually don't like when you type into Google a question that it gives you this AI answer, because I'm like, somebody's behind all of this, and eventually they're just going to have us read this little, this is the summary of, and they choose. I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah, it's okay, it's cool. You're very passionate about that. Totally.
You guys trust the internet way too much.
Mara, what is Mara saying over here? The twins,
doing it.
Ashley and I, are doing a twins cooking show of Julian's recipe next weekend. Where are we at? Are we doing a?
Rhonda's in it. Rhonda knows my conspiracy. Don't make me go down this road of like, they can't afford you guys to not you guys.
Hey,
but
Kate
people.
agrees. Kate agrees.
People
Totally.
they cannot afford people to figure out the truth. And I'm not being like RFK about food dyes and stuff necessarily right now, but like they can't afford to have us figure out the truth about nutrition. Our economy would collapse.
Our economy would collapse. A lot of businesses would go out of business for sure. Okay, what was I say? Oh, Kate, did you see my shout out to you in my salsa video? I was very grateful for your splatter screen. I wasn't aware of the name of such a thing. That was a very new thing for me, but I was very grateful. I don't even know if I used it correctly, because I still got splattered on,
Well, I mean, I was wondering that same thing because it's not like, I mean, the particles are pretty small.
They're very, it just, instead of like big explosions, it's now very like micro explosions.
Because sometimes you'll get a big pop.
It's just like pop. Yeah, and it scares me, Okay, cool. I did. No one needed to see my face again. What are you talking about, Kate? What are you talking about?
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's just such a beautiful, kind face. It's very like welcoming and like hello.
Andy gets it. He's a farmer. He knows.
Andy, yes.
The truth about food.
Farmer here. There we go, Andy. All right, cool. I want to start off.
I'm already nervous about this episode. I have a lot.
I think we're going to be okay.
I have a lot of thoughts about food.
That's good. This is why we're talking about food. So first of all, I want us to get into community updates. Thank you, Kim, for sending these community updates over. We'll get these done and plugged in with the community here.
Can I show where this came from?
Yeah, you can. Let me do the community updates. So we have Summer Flex going on, which the Summer Flex Challenge registration is open all the way through May 18th. Okay, so Summer Flexers, go ahead and jump on that band right there. Challenge kicks off on Monday, May 19th, and it lasts for 4 weeks. Okay, why would you want to sign up? So summer can be busy, even if it's fun. Okay, we know this. And time for adventures and spontaneous.
Is it frozen?
No, I froze. I'm just trying to I've been instructed it doesn't have to be read word by word. So I'm just going to summarize it a little bit. So what's the purpose of the challenge? It's about learning and building flexible nutrition habits that work for everyone's unique lifestyle and circumstances, okay? As we're all individuals. Going to be packed with a lot of coaching and community support, along with some fun, great prizes, and yes, a badge. The badge, great, so good. The SP Nutrition template is part of the challenge, so it's like a nutrition coach group. It's like a nutrition coaching group with a side dose of accountability that comes with the SP challenges. So the details and registrations are on the Street Parking website, okay? There we go. So the Summer Flex Challenge is something you can go ahead and jump on if you are into that, which is great. Vault Round 2. All right, so Vault Round 2 is coming up. Now, we have a lot of members joining every single day, right? And I guess this was asked recently, or it was kind of brought up that came in the Facebook group.
That we're doing this right now.
Someone thought that they missed the vault altogether this year. So I just kind of wanted to give you guys an update if anybody's new here, but most of us kind of know how this runs. So first and foremost, hi to all the new members here. Welcome to Street Parking, okay? And if you miss one of the workouts of the vault, or let's just say you jump on the vault now.
Or if you forgot to log one.
No worries, right? Because if you're going to be sticking with us for a while, Vault Round 2 will start up very soon. After the 25th Vault workout, we'll take a week of a break, and then we'll launch into Vault Round 2, which the only difference there, so it's an opportunity for you to either do it for the first time, make up a missed one, right? We'll be adding the team version of every single Vault workout, or to retest your score, or to change up the version of the workout that you did, right? So if you did program A, have fun with program B. If you did program B, you can go A or C, and so on, right? So to summarize all that, Round 2 is coming up. So if you missed one or haven't done it, you can jump on now, and you're good. You're good. Just plug and play, okay? All right, what else do we have here? Vault workouts every week for the next 25 weeks that they would start building momentum of their consistency. And again, to summarize what the purpose of the vault is, the performances don't matter, right? The goal is to build consistency over 25 weeks. Again, we drew our inspiration from the CrossFit Open back in the day, where it was 5 weeks back in the OG days, and now it's only 3 weeks, I think. And yeah, it was super cool, but it's only 5 weeks. So now we go, we're building consistency here. So 1 workout a week for 25 weeks, stay the course, and then retest yourself 6 months later. Okay.
You know what else I like about it is I think
Shannon's
it's
here
cool-
for the first time live.
Hey, what's up, Shannon?
Whoop, whoop.
We're talking about SIGs.
And Whoppers.
It forces you to do workouts that maybe sometimes you would otherwise cherry pick.
Yeah.
If you want to get the badge and complete it, you have to do all the 25.
You have
So
to
like
do all
that
the
running
25.
one that
yeah,
was
that
recently,
was super fun. Yeah.
That kind of, even the people that are like, I'm not doing endurance. Well, if you want the vault badge, you're at least going to do this.
Right. Totally.
You know?
It's a good, the vault's super fun. And I'm really pumped about next year's theme as well. We've already started kind of fleshing that out a little bit, which is great. I'm really looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys, anybody can take any guesses, and if you nail it, I will
well, then we
blink twice.
Okay.
So this is your chance to guess what the theme for next year is.
Nellie's on here.
All right, let's go ahead and get into our topic now. Thank you.
Hold on, let me show them the picture.
Oh, right.
Hold on, where is it? It's on my. Did I save it? That's red.
Your loaf.
No, I was going to show them the picture of how cool the kids looked. So I had asked my dad to send some pictures of him when he was little because I think Knox looks a lot like.
Can
my
you
dad.
forward that to Salvi real quick?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Pull it
Here,
up?
I'll text it to you, Salvi. Anyways, and this picture of these kids, like my dad grew up in a pretty low income situation.
Mm-hmm.
His dad was a bricklayer.
A bricklayer. Okay, very passionate. I mean,
that's not
hard worker.
He didn't own the bricklaying company. He was himself laying the bricks, right?
That's a blue collar worker, right?
That's some blue collar work, and he had
cool.
like 5 sisters. And anyway, these kids look so cool. These swimsuits, if you were to buy these, first of all, you'd have to go to a boutique. Salvi, I texted it to you. You would have to go to a boutique, and they would be hundreds of dollars, these swimsuits that these kids are in. But I just noticed, like, these aren't his 5 sisters. I think these were some of them might be, but there's a bunch of like neighbor kids. Salvi, did you get it?
He got it. He got it. He's going to pop it in. Mm-hmm.
And, they're just, that looks so cool.
Wow, look at them styling. This looks like it looks like
an advertisement for like ballerina farms.
I would say it looks like an advertisement for like Old Navy.
No.
Or like American Eagle. Like American Eagle or like
Gap.
There we go.
Gap. Go like up.
This looks like an advertisement for Gap kids.
Yes. Hold on. I got to send one more because we had that long discussion yesterday or last week about my ethnicity. So I'm going to send Salvi, I'm going to send you grandma and granddaddy. Granddaddy's from Arkansas. They were both from Arkansas. And then before they moved to Baby Biden.
Baby Biden.
Bowden.
Oh, Baby Bowden. Wow. Now we know what your autocorrect is all about. We don't understand this. All right. So Nelson, you're wrong. I'm not going to blink twice for that. Dungeons and Dragons. Emily.
Oh.
Wrong.
Pokemon. Okay. So here's half of my ethnicity.
This is his
my
dad.
Dad's parents.
So this is your grandpa.
My granddaddy.
Yeah.
That's what we called him.
Okay. So grandpa, granddaddy. Sure. And this is your grandma. Okay, great.
Grandma and granddaddy.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Your grandma looks like your brother, Quinn. And I can see Quinn has a very similar look to both of them.
I would say if you're looking for the origin of the high cheekbones, you can kind of start to see it.
There they are, the high cheekbones right there. What a good look! Like that jacket.
So classy.
That jacket would cost me like $700
this
in
is also
the
how
UK.
A lot of the people were dressed in Scotland.
How do I get his jacket?
I don't think it would fit you because he was 6'3".
Doesn't matter. Well, it would go to my knees, which would like it would be the purpose of it would be to go to above my knees.
But he's got tan skin. I mean, he was outside laying bricks.
Look at this look. This is like Versace right there.
I know.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. And whatever diner or situation they're in, you can kind of see it was not fancy. Like these were not fancy people, but they just. If that person walked into Nordstrom right now, they'd be like, "Sir, how can I help you?" They would just assume that he was there to, he had probably had $5 in his pocket.
Yeah, like he looks like he would own the Hilton Hotel. You know what I'm saying? Or like something. Wow, that's awesome. Super cool. Well, he didn't. It's okay. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing this. All right, let's dive into our subject for the day: nutrition. Okay. I'm super pumped. Brian, I saw you said hello in there. I don't think I didn't see you. What's up, Brian? Good. Brian's excited to do our 5K this weekend.
He's got to redeem himself.
We got to redeem that 30. I mean, if you do not get a better time than Brian, we cannot be friends, and you're going to be booted from our group chat.
No. You don't have to earn your way through fitness into being friends. You have to earn your way through effort, but not performance. He just wants to see a better effort from you this time, Brian.
Which your better effort would lead to a better time.
Maybe just make it so your feet aren't so loud.
Yeah, totally. All right, sounds good. Anyway, all right, Salvi, bring up question number 1, please. Here we go. What do we have here? All right, so what are some quick and easy ways to incorporate more fruits and vegetables into your meals while traveling? So we travel often.
Apples.
Absolutely. Didn't we do a video on this? Or even Salvi, you can pop in the screen really quick, Salvi. We did a video on this, huh? When we traveled to where were we? Nashville. When we went to Nashville for the Journeys thing.
Oh yeah, I was asleep when you guys did
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. All right.
Your
I would
prosciutto?
just, the prosciutto.
I
So
think that's what made me sick.
I would say no. It did not make you
Remember, I was
sick.
throwing up
No, it
after
didn't.
that.
100%.
That did not make you sick.
I was throwing up the next day. Not from the fruit. But
It
let's
wasn't the
answer
next day.
fruit
It was
question.
48 hours after.
I think it was the next day.
All right.
The next night.
Yeah, when you how to incorporate more fruits and vegetables. So the good thing is, walking into any grocery store, I would say you're going to be more realistic to eat more fruits than actually vegetables when you're traveling.
Here's the thing. I think that so we have to enter this conversation before we get too deep into it. We each individually have our own strengths and weaknesses when it comes to nutrition.
Yes.
But even as a family, we have our own strengths and weaknesses when it comes to nutrition. A weakness compared to maybe some of the other coaches on our staff, like Amali, we don't eat nearly as many vegetables.
That's correct. That is correct. That is something that we could work on improving for
And
sure.
we probably have members who do better with veggies than we do.
Totally. Like for me, I would say that achieving 800 grams of fruits for me daily would be like, cool, I got this, especially during summertime.
It's not that we don't like the veggies, but it's just not. So I grew up, let's give a little background again. I grew up, I did not ever eat anything outside of like a banana or an occasional like apple, but it was not a daily thing for me to eat fruit until I was an adult. I remember my boyfriend in high school, his family was very like health conscious. And he asked me one day if I wanted an orange, and I was confused by the question.
Wow.
I was like, what do you mean? He's like, do you want an orange? I was like, so you're just going to eat an orange? Like just eat it. It was confusing to me. So like, yeah, just having fruits and veggies like as part of like a daily diet, it was new to me as an adult. And it actually took like a decade even of working in fitness for that to even become a thing for me.
I will say though that having fresh vegetables or roasted vegetables makes it a lot easier.
I'm talking about even just like fruit, like an apple would be weird for me to eat until
back in the day, until recently, right?
Like the last like 15 years.
But now where we're at now.
Yeah. But I just wanted to give that history.
Totally.
Because if you came from a background or a family that's like our kids now, you don't have as much to overcome. Yeah, fruits for us was actually very common, especially in Latin culture, because of the tajin videos that I would always add. They would do this like it was like the Mexican. You lived by like all the farms.
By the farms, so it was you would see a lot of the Mexican guys with their carts, and it was like the pineapple, the cucumber, the jicama, the mango, the strawberry. I mean, you've seen it. You've seen me buy those, and that was just a common. For like $5 or even now they're $5, but I can't even imagine how much they were back then. That was just something you looked forward to. Right. So that we were always definitely plugged in with lots of variety of fruits because I grew up in Central California where all the farms were. Yeah. So yeah, I would say when you're traveling, definitely what's probably going to be more realistic is going to be your fruits or watery veggies. Like I've seen people crush cucumbers just as is. There's like those Persian cucumbers as well that I actually am a huge fan of. They're small. They got a good crunch actually. What else?
Well, so I wonder if the person's asking, do they mean like on the actual travel day or when they're like in location? Because that's two different questions.
I would say while in location. So
I'm thinking more of because of my when somebody asks traveling to me, I think of like actual what am I going to eat on the airplane because I spent so much time on airplanes.
Okay, so then you answer from that perspective because I tend to do our grocery shopping when we travel. So how would you approach it because you traveled so much? Yeah, that's why I said apples because like you can just throw an apple into your backpack. It doesn't need to be pre-sliced. It doesn't need to have a container. It's not going to, even if it gets a little bit like
squished by a book or something, it's not going to explode. And now you have like, juice. So like things like apples and oranges, not even a banana is not going to work. It's going to get smashed. It's going to get gross. You have to choose fruits that can just be tossed in. And I kind of have this same thing with currently like Knox's snacks. Like if I pre-slice the strawberries, if it's for him, he's so picky, like if it's been in the bag for an hour, it's old. You know what I mean? So it gets squishy, it gets warm, it gets whatever. So you just have to kind of go on travel days. You just have to go with stuff like apples and oranges that you can peel and eat.
Right.
And throw in your bag and not worry about them getting destroyed.
Totally. Yeah. For me, when I go to, it's when we check into an Airbnb or even a hotel, it's just always my go-to: apples, bananas, blueberries, strawberries, or whatever. I love when, is it the white nectarines? The white nectarines and the yellow nectarines are in season. When they are, I'll go hard at those for sure. And I'll just always go to those. Anything that's like pineapple, anything that I have to really like cut and peel and slice, that's just not going to be it, because then now you have to get a peeler and all that stuff. So get fruits that you can just bite into and just eat and move on, So that would be my suggestion when it comes to when you're traveling, and then have fun, right? Depending on where you're traveling to, if you're going out of country, have fun with the different variety of fruits that are available. But I'll still go back to the same thing. Stay away from things that you're going to have to peel and slice and cut. You just want to be able to bite into it. So that's my tip on
yeah. And I
fruits
think
there.
A lot of times when most people travel, potentially the question that they're asking, typically when you travel, you're going somewhere to do something. So whether it's like you're going to a theme park or you're going to a business conference or you're probably not, the person asking this question is probably not assuming that they're going to be in their Airbnb with access to the kitchen and stuff like that all day. So again, I go back to, don't overthink it. Like it's okay if you eat a banana, or not a banana. It's okay if you eat an apple all 5 days. And it's just, I got my fruits and veggies in by only having apples. I think it's no different than the recipe questions where we think that we need like all this variety all the time. And if it's okay. Like buy a bag of apples and take one with you to the conference every day and make sure you eat it and you're good. And
the truth is, around the apples too, they are going to be more filling than if you were to do, it's either one apple or a handful of blueberries, what's going to fill you up more.
Exactly.
The apples is going to be the tried and true winner there. So yeah, awesome. I have such a weird texture issue with fruits.
Which kind? I know one of the seminar trainers that I used to work with, if she even saw like cantaloupe or like honeydew, she would gag. Like, I think it was a texture thing. She hated that kind of fruit.
That's interesting. Okay.
Very healthy eater, but that kind of fruit like gave her the heebie-jeebies.
All right. Cool. All right. Pop up the next question, Salvi. What do we got? What else? How can I stick to a regular eating routine without a structured schedule during the summer? I'm taking a moment to sit back and process this for a little bit.
Yeah, you want to give a good answer.
How can I stick to a regular eating routine without a structured schedule during the summer? So I would say that the reason Miranda and I struggle with this a lot, and it's kind of what we got. And it's not just even during summer. I would say we struggle during an eating routine in general. It's not just summer, especially with kiddos and everything. I would say it's gonna amplify more if your kids are not in school, right? And if you need a moment to kind of like, you don't have a moment to breathe at that point. Who knows? I'm unaware of that season of life. And we're about to jump into it. Yeah. Because the boys are about to be done with school. Okay. So the reason why I think meal prepping, and Salvi and I actually really want to work on putting together more meal prep videos to share, because it's the business that I owned before. Whether it be owning them, if you have the ability financially to get prep meals ordered, so that way you can stay consistent.
You can just go get a Whopper.
That's a great option. Sure, you can do a Whopper. Now, if not, right, because obviously that's going to cost you 5 meals, 6 meals that you order, or 7 meals. You can probably do a week's worth of gross meal prepping with that kind of budget. So get into the habit of meal prepping. Now, that's also easier said than done. And that's why in the near future, Salvi and I, we're going to start to break down the simplicity of meal prepping and then how to get your essentials and then build up from there. But it's why Miranda and I recently got on board by doing it together. Like, hey, we have to meal prep because
we're not going to eat.
We're not going to eat.
We lose lunch if we don't.
We lose lunch, and actually, like, I find myself making poor choices, like, eating habits. I'll, if I'm in the grocery store, I'll find myself gravitating to more sugary things or quick snacks that actually are way more higher in calories just to get calories in. And it's not good, right? Because it's not a good way to fuel my body. So get into the habit of prepping, choosing a day, get your partner on board, if your kids are old enough, get them on board and make it like a family bonding experience. But you're going to have to commit to structuring a day of prepping so the rest of the week flows very smoothly.
I have.
So that's
when you're done with your thought.
So that's my thought. That would be my suggestion, is try to prep ahead.
Okay. That would be ideal. And I see Mara, I agree with what Mara is saying, like proportioned meals, grab and go, literally portioned out, not just bulk prepped. One of the things I was going to say is at least like have some cooked meat in the fridge and some rice. So it's like there, but portioned out. So it's literally all I have to do is heat this thing up, or maybe sometimes you don't even heat it up.
That's correct.
However, I want to bring it back to, again, like my journey through nutrition. I'm going to tell you guys the truth of this. And this is not me suggesting that you do this, but I also want to make it clear that if you miss a meal prep day, or your kid is sick and it's meal prep day, or you forgot to get the groceries and whatever, and so you don't meal prep, the week is not lost. I'm here to tell you, when I was actively competing in CrossFit, I did 0 meal preparation, and I made breakfast for myself every day. That's one meal that I made for myself. I had eggs, chicken sausage, English muffin, or oats every morning. But after that, I'm not kidding, it was
Chipotle every day.
Chipotle for dinner, and like some sort of like deli meat, fruit. So what I was going to suggest is like the prepackaged little chicken things that I get from Costco. When we don't meal prep, we didn't meal prep for lunch this week.
This is something that's correct.
I will grab one of those little chicken packs and a handful of cashews and an apple, and I will eat that for lunch. And I will eat that for lunch every single day this week because we didn't prep lunch this week. And that can work, and it's all right there. It's all just grab. I don't even heat the chicken up, and I just eat it.
Salvi, can you pull those up? If you're, why we love Costco so much. They're the pre-packed chicken.
They're like square little packages, and they're all like stuck together. But yeah, so get stuff like that. Get pre-cooked meat if you're like, oh shoot, I didn't have time to cook, or I know I'm not going to have time to cook, or I don't want to cook. Get some pre-cooked meats. These are like really well portioned out already. I think it's like 4 ounces or something like that.
It is 4 ounces. That's correct.
But what I see people people fail over and over and over again is they think if I didn't meal prep, then I just have to, I'm at a loss and I'm just going to go eat out. Or for me, I just will not eat. Buy some of those, have some in your fridge, have some in your freezer for emergency week situations. Because that kind of nutrition is what I ate when I was actively competing. And somehow I was able to eat. You still have to eat enough and everything. When I was traveling, my breakfast in the airport, sometimes once a week or twice a week, was I would go get a Starbucks oatmeal, and I would put protein powder. I would bring protein powder with me, and I would put protein powder and a little almond butter pack in there, and I would buy a banana from Starbucks, and that's what I would eat for breakfast. So yes, these meals that like Molly puts out or Julian puts out or whatever, like they are simple, actually really simple, great meal prep. But if that falls through the cracks, there are other options that are still totally manageable and totally fine. And I think sometimes we like allow like shame or failure to creep in if we didn't make those meals. And I'm here to tell you that until I was married to him, I never ate meal prepped food. Right.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing through this is the reason why you always prioritize protein.
Always prioritize protein. And like, this is maybe something that's a little bit sad and something that I've gotten better about. I'm not saying that this is like a healthy mindset, but I didn't view food as something that was to make me happy necessarily. Like
Mhm.
I wasn't like, oh, what sounds good today? It was like,
Mhm.
I need some protein, I need some carbohydrates. And it's not that the meals that I was eating were like gross by any means, but I wasn't like, what do I feel like? It was like, oh, what are my go-tos? What do I have? I just need some protein. I mean, I was eating like deli meat with fruit and stuff like that sometimes for dinner because it's the only protein that I had.
Right.
I wouldn't like be like, oh, well, I'm going to go get a Whopper or whatever,
Sure.
you know?
This is how I gauge how am I feeling today? And I'll just be like, I'll be in Chris's office and I'll be like, what am I feeling today? What am I feeling today? And then I'll make my choice.
Yeah. See, I couldn't do that.
I'm an intuitive eater.
Well, your intuitive eating used to take you to Habit Burger quite a lot. So
I'll still go to that thing any day. Give me that burger with that tri-tip. Yeah, I that's something that I actually picked up from you, is going to the fail safe, which is like, now I'll always have some sort of source of protein in my car, which is like, I'll buy a bunch of bags of jerky, right? Like 10 packs of jerky, and I'll have
also
jerky
great for traveling.
always. I'll always have jerky in my truck, so that way if I find myself, my lack of eating, I'll just grab my jerky and I'll start eating, I'm munching on protein, and it does the job. But yeah, these chicken packs with an apple and a banana, which makes sense. Like that would be, if that was your lunch, and then you crush the chipotle later with like avocado and guac and all that stuff, then you have like a 1,200, 1,300 calorie meal, because you would always go double chicken, that rice, the oil, like that makes sense. You had a really good breakfast, you had a really good dinner, and in between it was just more of your protein powder, it sounds like, with your little chicken bites and an apple.
Well, I'm at like year 15 of Perfect Bars.
And Perfect Bar, that's right. That's right.
Molly, I'm
that's
still
right.
promoting the Perfect Bars.
I'm on that cold foam, Give my cows that cold foam. All right, that's by the way, feel free to jump in and ask, like, add your suggestions while you guys are in the chat. I see Mara's popping off right here. I love it. And also, if you have any questions around clarity, like, hey, what about this? Okay.
Well, one of the things that I used to get really frustrated about with you when we were first married.
No, I'm kidding.
Well, there's like a journey of frustration.
Yeah, totally.
One of the journeys of frustrations is you had a meal prep business, but you never actually ate any of that food.
Now, I would order a Pizza Hut stuffed crust pizza once we're done meal prepping.
We were married and before we lived together. And I mean, we got in a legit, one of our first, like probably the first time you ever saw me get really mad was about that behavior.
It was about food.
From you.
Yeah.
Because I was like, thought that you were just like wasting all of your genetic potential by eating the way that you were eating. It really frustrated me. It was because I loved you and I wanted better for you.
Genetics.
I mean, I think it was the year that you didn't qualify.
It was the year I didn't qualify. It was the year I didn't qualify, which was the biggest, like, I told you so. I was like, gosh, dang it.
Anyways, so then, we started eating your meal prep food, but the journey that we went on after you sold the company was you wanted to cook everything right before we were going to eat it.
That's right. That's right.
So you had like, everything had to be fresh. Like I have to cook the meat right and then eat it right away. Or I don't like reheated up food, which nobody likes reheated up food more than, but because you were the food prepper in our family, I often would just go without food because there wasn't pre-cooked food, and then you would come home and cook something for yourself.
But here's the thing, though. Let me tell you a little bit about my origin.
My issue was I should have just meal prepped for myself. But
it goes from my childhood. My parents would always make, because it was just 2 of us, not 6 of us. Mm-hmm. They would always make fresh meals every single night. It was like when... It's
not like my parents were prepping food. They would just like put a bowl of cereal in front of us.
Exactly, but that wasn't like that for like, so they would make
here's some Costco
lasagna. Like, I had no choice. It was either like caldo de pollo or whatever, enchiladas or something. My mom was always making the fresh meals,
right?
And I think that's why it was ingrained in me.
Which is great if you have that, but you're not a mom that has time to do that.
No, but the ingrained doesn't mean the imprint's not there. I was like, oh, well, this is the way it's got to be, and I don't know any other way.
So, but I think people are like that too. They're like, oh, well, I just want to make a meal every time I'm going to eat, and that's so not realistic. It's not going to happen, and you're just going to end up not eating enough because you're not eating, or going to get something that's not as healthy. So yeah, the pre-prepped food is, if you want to have like meals that have like the rice and the veggies and the chicken, and you want to have that for lunch and you want to have that for dinner, you're going to have to get into some meal prep.
You're going to have to get there eventually.
Sustain that.
We're going to have to get there eventually. And we're going to go ahead and do more videos to show you the simplicity of it. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. All right. Second question.
Third.
What does a balanced plate look like in practice? Can you give examples of meals that follow this method? Yeah.
Mhm. I like the fitness in 100 words, meats and veggies, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. So essentially what you would do with that is you would take your plate and you would first put meat and vegetables on it. And half of your plate should just be meats and vegetables. Then you throw some fat on there. So of course in the fitness in 100 words, it says nuts and seeds, but that could be avocado. It could be the oils that your meats and veggies were made with, whatever. Some fruit, you throw some apple slices in there, and then or little starch. So now you're throwing some rice or some sweet potatoes or potato in there. Obviously, you're not expected to have all of that every single time in every meal, but essentially that's like the idea is if you go through that, you prioritize in that order.
Nice. Well,
which is kind of not at all the like old school food pyramid that we grew up with. You would throw the breads and the pastas and stuff on first and fill up mostly your plate with that and then sprinkle the other stuff, where it's kind of like a little bit of the inverse.
But it's so interesting, right? Because even when we prep our foods, right, we always have, when we keep it bare minimum and we don't try to do a new recipe, we'll always go to protein and carbohydrate. And then the vegetables and all that stuff, we'll figure it out later, right? We want our basic. And do you think that's because that sustains more of our lifestyle and training?
There's more prepping because usually the veggies are either like some sort of mixed greens or like sliced cucumbers or something. So when we're prepping, we're doing the stuff that requires prep, which is like either the potatoes or the rice and the meat. And then we'll add in the veggies to be more fresh. On the day.
Yeah, on the day, because it's a lot quicker to do that. Yeah, totally. So yeah, that's
how do you like if you were to go through like a line? Obviously, we don't frequent a lot of like
Chipotle.
Sure, Chipotle, but they have an order that you have to go through. Like if you were to, like if we were on like a cruise ship.
If we're on a cruise ship, okay. Yeah. If we're on a cruise ship, all my eating habits go out the window. I just fall victim to all the food there. So.
But like if you were like doing if you and Salvi were filming,
give me the mozzarella sticks.
If you and Salvi were filming how to create a balanced plate and you had like all the options in front of you, how would you make your plate?
Yeah, so I would make okay. If I were to just go, let's speak my language. Hometown buffet. Salvi, we're rolling up to hometown buffet, bro. Okay, and freaking Tigered, you know, we're going for it. It's been a long time. Or let's just say I'm going to the Spirit buffet, you know?
We had
the Spirit
Utah,
Casino.
Did you guys have Chuckarama?
Nope.
I feel like that's such a Utah. It had like a covered wagon thing on it.
Yeah.
Chuckarama.
Okay, even when we went to Vegas, right, and we went to those like extravagant buffets, you know, all right, fine. I'm always going to go now. Oh, pop that little bubble. That worked. I will always go to the protein section first. Always. Give me whatever they're prepping. Give me that nice slice of pork belly, pork shoulder, you know, roast beef, chuck roast, whatever they're prepping.
We're at Great Wolf Lodge at this point, and you're trying to like put together your food.
Shoot.
You know their little buffet?
Oh yeah, totally. Even if we're at Great Wolf Lodge.
Rhonda knows about Chuckarama.
All right. That hometown buffet,
Rhonda
you know.
and I have a lot in
common. Okay. Wow, that's Chuckarama, huh? Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with this.
Yeah, nice.
Like a lot of
see, look at that. The top left picture. Look, that's a good salad bar. Nice. So, okay, this is how I would structure my plate. This is what I would do. If I was at Chuckarama, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder if it's still there.
Yeah.
I mean, there was more than one location.
Yeah. So I'm going to go to the protein section first, and I'm going to load up on my protein. I'm not going to restrict myself. And then most likely, I'm probably going to head over to this little salad bar buffet. I'm going to get my cucumbers, my greens, my bell peppers, my fresh stuff, because most likely a lot of the carbohydrates that they're doing, maybe I'll get like a baked potato, or I'll probably go with the baked. Most likely, Chuckarama is going to have like those baked potatoes in the aluminum foil, you know. Because I know I've been to plenty of places.
You got to go with a baked potato over the like au gratin potatoes or like cheesy potatoes, because that now you're just like
you're ruining it. You've lost it at that point.
The fat content.
But what I will say though, if I'm back to Chuckarama or hometown buffet, I'm gonna get my protein. I'm gonna go to my salad bar buffet, and I'm gonna get that freshness, and then I'm gonna get my roasted potato. Once I eat that, and that doesn't mean though that I'm probably gonna get a second plate and start putting a little bit of sample size mac and cheese. I'll probably throw in one mozzarella stick on there or one chicken tender.
I'm trying to think when I've seen you do this. It's like so random.
At Great Wolf Lodge.
Yeah.
Yeah, recently.
You're coming back with some weird stuff.
No, it's not weird stuff. All right, it's normal for society.
Uh-huh.
We are the weird ones. Let's just be very clear. We're the weird ones in society.
It's like not stuff that we normally eat, and all of a sudden you're like, you got it.
It tucks at me. It tucks at me. You know, it's in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's how I will balance my plate when I go out. That way, I'm not like, you know, feeling like I'm saying you're being bad by getting this. It's like, nah, give me that chicken tender with BBQ sauce. You know,
there are no bad foods. There are
no bad
everyday foods, and there are sometimes foods.
That's
how
a
we
sometime
talk about
food
it at our house.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
So I would feel good about my base plate.
Mm-hmm.
I'd feel really good about it,
mm-hmm.
and then I'll be guilt free eating the other bit, and guilt free getting my little soft serve ice cream cone.
I would say where the balanced plate thing, where women tend to struggle is we think, well, if I just cut out the carbs completely, I will be better off. And I suffered from that thinking for quite a while. There you go. Thank you.
Look at
that. What is that? What kind of meat is that? Is that salmon?
Salmon.
Okay, I thought that was like a slice of lasagna.
Either salmon or like a really burnt chicken breast, like a dry. That chicken breast looks dry.
No, I think it's salmon. Cut it in quarters. That looks great.
Sure.
I suffered from, so what I would have done in the past was thought, well, I will be better off actually if I lose the starchy veggies altogether. And I ate, and I know Molly can speak to this as well. We had a real hard time getting Molly to eat carbs. She was heavy paleo when I met her, heavy.
Okay.
And I went through a period of that as well. And so, but then what happens is it reduces your ability to perform in your workouts. Your energy is lower. You're not able to gain muscle mass or hold on to muscle mass because your body, people have this idea that as long as I eat enough protein, I'm going to gain muscle mass. That is not. The protein are the building blocks. The carbohydrates are the builders. Like I've said that before. So I was severely under eating for what I was doing when I first started like training at NorCal until like Neil and Jason and all of them started forcing me to eat more carbohydrates. And that's kind of when the Chipotle thing started.
Yeah, nice.
Because before that, I'm not kidding, I was eating like deli meat and grapes for dinner.
Oof, horrible.
So yeah, the carbohydrates are important. And I feel like for women, that's the first thing to go when they think that they need to eat better is they'll lose the carbohydrates. The problem with the carbohydrates is like what you're saying about the baked potato versus like the mashed potatoes at Chuck-A-Rama.
Not gonna do that.
The mashed potatoes have so much butter or oil or fat in them that the calorie content just goes so crazy high. So clean sources of the starchy veggies is very important, where there's not been a lot of oil and stuff added to it. And same, I mean, you could say the same thing for the meats, but you're way more likely to overdo it and overfill your plate with like mashed potatoes and macaroni and cheese than you are with like the meats, especially for women in general.
Well, and there's sometimes when we travel, I tend to pull back from carbohydrates sometimes.
So that was another thing I was going to say. There are different mindsets, and I know that person wasn't necessarily asking about travel. So we're just talking about that's what your plate looks like on the day-to-day at home.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So,
but like if you're eating out at a restaurant and you're traveling because it's a vacation celebration, a birthday, that plate looks different than if you're eating out at a restaurant because you are on a work trip and you take lots of work trips. And this is something that I've talked about a lot because people often associate, well, I'm traveling, so I got to like have fun until you travel every single weekend for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just that you eat not bad food, but you know what I'm saying? Like you can't, just because you're out of town, unless it's like this is how I view it anyways, unless it's like a celebration or a vacation or whatever, I'm not just going to throw all my nutrition habits out the window just because I'm at a restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
And then to your point about carbohydrates is even if I am like celebration vacation and I want to have like maybe a dessert or something, then I know that I have an option to then cut out the starchy carbohydrates. I don't have any bread, pastas, potatoes, whatever with my actual meal. And then I'll go more of like, well, saving it, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of
and
the
I
mindset
know
we
I'm
have.
going to eat dessert, so I
Mhm.
don't need it there. And it's not to think of it as like, oh, I'm worried about eating too much. It's I'm trying to still balance my plate, and knowing that's eventually going to be on my plate, I'm excluding it from the other part of the meal.
Yeah, totally. Mara, what would you like to know? You let me know what you want to know. All right, what is the next question that we have? Oh, these are what are you pulling up, Salvi?
Oh, he's showing the balanced plate program.
Nice.
So there's a balanced plate program. So it's funny about all the programs, whether it's balanced plate, the templates, lazy macros, 800 grams. Essentially, and I've said this on this podcast before, we're trying to get everybody's plate to essentially look the same.
Yes.
But people gravitate or do better with different approaches. So the balanced plate, the very visual approach, and I don't have time to weigh and measure, but I can look at it and see. Then great. Then that one's great for you. The lazy macros one or the template one is going to require a lot more weighing and measuring, so it's more accurate for people. And I wanted to say this too. I was thinking about this before we did this episode today. Julian and I, and the way that we're speaking about food right now, we're not. When I prep our food and I put it in containers, I do actually weigh how much protein's going into each one.
Yes.
To make sure. But we're not in a heavy weighing and measuring season, and we're a little bit looser with it. We're a little bit more eyeball with it. I do think that there is benefit if you've never done a heavy weighing and measuring season to do a heavy weighing and measuring season, because you learn a lot through that process. So no different than when you're first learning how to cook. You follow the recipes exactly for a while. And then when you've done that, you're like, no, I kind of know like what this needs to look like or how much of this thing to put in or whatever. And I can eyeball it. I can play around with it. Start, if you've never done it before, find a time in your life where it's, feels manageable. Maybe summertime isn't the time. Maybe it's when your kids go back to school, but to weigh and measure. I think that there's huge benefit in doing that for a couple months.
Yeah. And with the programs that we just highlighted, what she was just saying, I support that. Having a structure, a baseline structure, so that way then you can have freedom within that structure. It's going to really set you up for success. So, yeah, I'll just support that.
It's what will allow you eventually to be more confident in your eyeballing method.
Okay. The question Amara has: why did you decide to start your meal prep business? Was it local, fresh, or freezer style? Did you do the cooking, and why did you step out? Just curious of it all. Yeah. So the way it started was back in the day. I was training clients in my backyard this was like in 2012-ish era time. I had a client that I was training in my backyard, and she was doing paleo meals, and I was like, whoa! She was selling it for $8 a meal, and I thought that was super cool. So I got her a lot of business, and through the gym that I was training at back in the day, and I loved it. Then fast forward, she's like, hey, I'm getting a real job. Like, I'm not doing this anymore because the influx of meals that I got her, she was just making them at her mom's house. And she's like, it's becoming too much. So she went out and got a real job. And then I was like, hey, this is actually a really cool concept. I was
what
like,
was her company called?
It was nothing. There was no name to it. It was just.
She didn't have a name at all?
No, nothing. No. She was just making these meals. And so then I had a roommate at the time.
What was his name?
His name was Raleigh.
That's right.
Yeah. And
Raleigh?
I don't know anymore. He's gone. So then when she stepped away, we had all these people at the gym still asking like, hey, how do I keep getting these meals? They're like, you should do it, right? Because I don't know why. They just said you should do it. And I was like, why not? So then I reached out.
What was your level of education at this time around eating paleo?
Nothing. It was more of like I can make food. So then I was like, hey, Raleigh, I was like, you know how to make food, right? You know how to use a grill.
But you knew how to make food. You grew up making food.
But I was making cupcakes and salsas at the time.
Yeah, your mom still is more of like a heavy bread maker.
I was making cupcakes and salsas at the time. So then I was like, Raleigh, I'll give you $1,000. I'll go Restaurant Depot. We'll go buy all the stuff that you need. And he's like, all right, cool. Actually, I don't think I've ever told the story. So, oh my gosh. So I spent $1,000 to go buy.
I'm surprised that you would have ever spent $1,000 on anything back then.
Me too. So we go to Restaurant Depot, and he decides to make one of the meals that week, like something with lamb.
Oh,
like,
he went like real hard. Was this
Yeah.
the Passover?
he went with lamb, and I was like, oh. All right, hold on. All right.
You're 23 years old at this time.
Oh man.
I'm sorry, but I'm not getting Emma, don't get offended by this, but I'm not getting food from a 23-year-old. Continue.
All right, hold on.
Certainly not a 23-year-old that looks like you.
No. So then he like makes this lamb and he just like burns it, and we have to turn in the
Wait,
meals.
was this in your house?
In my house now?
That
Yes.
oven was not.
It was just not okay. So he like burns it, and he like gives me a sample of it, and I was like, "Bro, I don't think that's what lamb's supposed to taste like."
Had you ever had lamb before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he was like panicking because we've just put so much money onto this. We had to turn in the meals the next day. And so what did I do? I was like, well, just put some of my salsa over it. So then we made a batch of my salsa. And as he was packing the meals, I was like, that's how good my salsa is, by the way, is that I knew it would drown out the flavor of that burnt ass lamb. So anyway,
where was your brother in this?
he
whole
wasn't there
scenario?
yet.
Okay.
So it wasn't there yet. So after week 1,
Are you sweating?
yeah, I am. He got so Raul, he got so stressed out. He's like, "Nah, man, I can't do this. This is too much." And then, but I saw it as a money-making opportunity. So then I called up my brother, and I
Is
think
this when
that's
he
why
still lived in Tillamook?
yes, that's when he flew back out to
Oh,
LA.
okay.
And I was like, "Look, if you want to move in, I got like a hustle opportunity for you."
Who else was living there with you in Raleigh at the time? Because it was a 3-bedroom.
Me, Raleigh, and who was we had random people, maybe one of his random friends at the time. Who knows? I was just trying to collect rent at that point, And so my brother comes out, and then he takes over, and he actually knew how to use a smoker and stuff. And it started with that. And he would put together menus, and we'd go out, and it started taking off. There was consistency there. Meat wasn't being burnt. And that's where we found a flow. And next thing you know, we're doing like 300, 400, 500 meals weekly. Now what I will say though is, while we wanted it to be paleo, but then my brother at the time was like, yeah, it's paleo. And I trusted him so much, but he was just like skirting the line around what it just wasn't paleo. Sometimes it was sometimes paleo. Yeah. But when he brought in these like biscuits and gravy meals, it's like, hey man.
Or like pancake mixes?
Like pancake mixes. Yeah. I was like, so I was like, I was just like, okay, whatever. But then over the course, when I met Miranda, she got me back on track. And you're like, look, you guys have so much potential here. And so then I learned about macros at the time, because then I realized like,
because I was like doing macros.
You were doing macros. And then for me, I realized like, okay, like paleo meals are cool and all, but more people started to ask about macros, and she taught me how to, figure out the numbers. And I recognized that maybe my brother didn't know how to count macros at the time. That was also like a hurdle that we had to overcome for sure. But then, then it got fun. We got into a really good flow. It was like the perfect story is like, you just keep making the mistakes. We got a professional kitchen in Orange County.
Little burners.
But we were doing it from my house for a long time. So it was great. And it just kind of evolved from there. And then that's where, when we got into the kitchen and we started doing it way more professional, and we got into a flow, and because we were doing at least, 900, 1,000, 1,100 meals weekly. And so, at that point, we got into a good flow. I wouldn't say a profitable flow, but we got into a good flow with making the meals.
The drivers and everything.
It was just, it's chaos. I mean, that is just not.
Show up. And then your mom was like driving around in her Jeep, like the gas to drive all over LA in that
Jeep. Mean, back in the day, I was literally driving meals at like 11 p.m. dropping. So
unprofessional.
It was the most unprofessional thing. I was dropping off meals at 11 p.m. That's the original freaking DoorDash right there.
I guess so.
I was DoorDashing before DoorDash became a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was chaotic. But again, going back to once we got into a good flow, I learned how to streamline things, and we got our crap together. So
She said, "Why did you stop doing it?"
Because it's not profitable. And
that's their fault that you stopped doing it.
Whose?
These people.
Yes. Why did I stop doing it? Because when we first started street parking, the first week we started street parking, Miranda was still deciding whether she was going to jump back into Progenex or not, because you were still Progenex. You were on we were on maternity leave.
Yeah.
We launched street parking.
I wasn't. I was not on maternity leave until.
Oh, that's right.
We were like
that's
8
right.
months into street parking.
That's right. So we started street parking. Miranda was in Progenex.
leave,
I was having the meal prep business. You know, so we're not only doing that, we're filming all the street parking stuff. Street parking was growing. And then when we had Knox, we had the question, because at that point, you know, we had like 1,500 members. It was like 1,100 members. I remember that very clearly. I was like, look, if you leave Progenex, you know, I think it's at a point we commit. I think we're at a good place where you can leave, not have to go back to Progenex, and you can focus on street parking. And I said to her, I was like, if we get to 1,400 members, I will let go of the meal prep business, and then I will come on and fully commit. And we got to 1,400 members. It was like shortly after regionals, because I remember I was still making meals around that time. And at that point, I knew. I was like, nah, I'm not going to do this. Like, the meal prep business is just, I couldn't get it to a place where it was just profitable. And there's just it was extreme labor, like manual labor, and so much orchestrating. It just wasn't worth it. It just wasn't worth it. And I was loving what we're doing with street parking. It's still going,
though, from what I understand. Yours and your brother's.
I think so, randomly.
Your brother's for sure.
So then I sold it. I sold it to one of my employees, and I guess he's still making meals out there.
He commented on.
He commented. That's right. He's still making meals, and my brother's still making meals out there in San Diego, and we're over here in the Pacific Northwest. So it was just time to let it go. You know. Cool. Well, thank you for following along on that journey. Yeah, I lost it. The lamb story. It got me. I'm sorry.
I know. I feel like you're always like so self-deprecating when we talk about it, and you're like, oh, so ghetto and this and that, and it was for sure. But also, like, I was so attracted to the hustle of the whole thing.
The hustling that I was doing.
But then it was like where I was like, you're hustling and you could be doing so much better with the amount of energy that you're putting into this. It could be so much smoother.
I remember how cool I felt when we got our first like commercial fridge for our home, because we had to store the meals. I was like, whoa. So I had to buy one of those like $2,500 commercial fridges just to store all our meals.
It's in the background of a lot of our first videos.
It's in the back. Yeah, it is. And that was a huge moment for me. I was like, this is freaking awesome. You know, and I used to nerd out about that kind of stuff.
Chris made all of the key logo came in exchange for those meals. Benny's.
That's right. That's actually fun fact.
For the meals.
Chris made the street parking logo in exchange for bulk meal prep.
And Benny was taking photos for it too.
And he was doing the same thing. It was literally like
we should go back to that.
To what? Just
tell Chris you'll make him some food. Tell Chris and Benny you'll pay him in food.
Well, just go back to food prepping. Yeah. So anyway, there was a lot put into that. There was a lot. It was all part of the journey, and there was a lot of laughs, a lot of stress. And I remember there was a lot of times too that I was starting to feel resentful, because my brother would always want to make meals during like Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Oh, that was a big thing. He wanted to do
because it was very profitable to do that.
But he wouldn't put the menu out till like 3 days before you were supposed to make it.
It was horrible. It was horrible. And so we were just stuck during Thanksgiving and Christmas delivering stuff out there.
Yeah.
And then sometimes he would take on way more orders than we were able to do. And so then it just...
You guys were making Thanksgiving dinner for everyone else.
That's correct. Yeah, that was horrible. That was not fun. So grateful to be back to where we're at now. Okay. All right, so that's the story there. Let's ask another question, Salvi. We'll get back on track. How do I know what bright lines are right for me, and how can I stick to them? So the example of what's a bright line is rather than I'm going to drink less alcohol on vacation, you could say I will only drink on Friday and Saturday nights on vacation, and will limit myself to a maximum of 2 drinks per evening. Yes. Setting these bright lines make it significantly easier to hold yourself accountable. So pretty much doing things that hold you accountable.
So is it kind of like, instead of saying I'm not going to do something, this is what I am going to do?
I think so. Right, Salvi? Is that so? Go ahead and scroll up a little bit. This was a little bit. Bright lines is a very straightforward plan or a rule that you will stick to. It's like a drawing line, drawing a bright line in the sand.
So they're calling it bright lines instead of hard lines.
let's call it a hard line for what you're going to do. You set the hard line, and it has to be something you mean. So yeah.
So like I'm gonna drink less. That's very like, what is less? Is less like you can start to be like, oh well,
this is less. So it's got to be a very.
You're saying like I only drink on the Friday, or I only
correct.
Have a dessert at this one meal, or I'm only gonna have one piece of cake, or I'm only gonna. It doesn't have to be an only thing, but like you put some structure around it.
Mm-hmm.
What was the question? Can you pop the question back up, Salvi?
How do I know what bright lines are right for me, and how can I stick to them? Examples. So first you have to have awareness around the things you struggle with.
Individual.
This is very individual. So then what we would put back on you guys would be like, you'd have to be very aware of the things that you struggle with the most. Example, if alcohol is something that you struggle with the most, then yes, set a hard line around your limitations for that. Okay. Street parking. Said Molly here. It's drawing. Oh, Molly's there. Hi, Molly.
Oh, thank goodness.
There we go. It's drawing a line in the sand for yourself, so there's no wavering. It creates confidence in what you will do, so you'll have a plan and stick to it.
Great. Yes. Okay. So kind of like it's bright lines is just happier than hard lines.
It is. It's very like
brighter.
Positive. Yep.
So like what would an example of that be for you? Let's say we're like,
shoot. Okay. I would say,
and again, this is like different in different scenarios.
Yeah, because this would be for me. What do I struggle with the most? I would say that I fall victim to when we travel that I get sucked back into like, I want to go try these, like all these new different things. It's gotten a lot better. What I will say though, a hard line for me would be like, hey, a bright line. A bright line when we're traveling, it's like we now have our go-to places that we're very consistent with. Even Nashville, for example, we knew what places to go to that were for our base meals were going to be the same every single time, which then opened up the door for us to be like, hey, maybe later or once during this trip, I'm going to go to some place. And I know DH and I and Salvi went to this donut place, or Salvi wanted to go to it. And I was like, cool, you know what? Let's get a couple donuts. Because I knew the structure with the other meals was so good, it allowed for 1 to 2 visits max to go to a place where I can indulge in some random things. Because for us, drinking's not a struggle. Like we don't drink when we travel at all, or we just don't drink in general.
Ever, yeah.
So I have to set my heart or my bright lines around treats like that. Like, hey, maybe not every single day have a treat, but maybe one day, you can have a large milkshake from Shake Shack, But if you had that, maybe when Salvi and them go to the donut place, hey, I'll sample it. Let me have a sample, but I'm not going to have a full-size large shake and then the next day have like 2 donuts because it's new. Yeah, I'll have to set a hard line,
a bright line,
around things like that.
Molly, did you have any bright lines on your Mexico trip when it comes to alcohol? Just wondering. You could say no. I mean, I've definitely been on trips in my past where there were.
There was no bright lines. There was just dark lines.
There were just dark lines down.
Yeah, there was dark lines.
Yeah. Okay. So this is more of like this isn't even a traveling one, but I have gotten into, and this is like crazy for me. If you know how overly controlled literally everything in my life has been, but like especially around food. The fact that I'm even doing this at all is pretty crazy. But I've been eating cereal at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have. Good for you.
Yeah, which is like so. Anyways, I have to internally deal with the fact that I'm even like announcing this publicly. I've been eating some of this cereal at night, but I've been like what you do with Knox. I actually like measure out how much.
Okay, cool.
So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna because I for a while I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe you're eating cereal at night. You shouldn't be doing this. And then I'm like, well, I'm probably not eating enough carbohydrates throughout the day. I think it's probably okay. So don't be so crazy and think that you're gonna gain 20 pounds because you're eating a little small bowl of cereal at night as a treat. But I did start measuring it, so I knew how much. Is that a bright line? Does that count?
Yeah, that's a bright line. If you're gonna have it every night, are you having it every night?
I mean, I would say like probably 4 or 5 nights a week.
Okay, so the bright line would be, hey,
how much?
4 to 5 times a week I have cereal, and I'm going to measure it, and it's going to be this exact every single time. Cool.
Yeah,
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So like, it's like what we have Knox. He gets to have cereal 3 nights a week, but he has to measure it.
Yeah, and it's not just, Chris wants to know what kind. It's like that pumpkin. It's like a trail mix. It's not a trail mix. It's a, what's it called? Granola. It's a granola.
It's like a granola.
It's a granola. It's like a pumpkin granola from Costco. So it's not like she's honeycombing it up, I would.
Yeah.
Like give me a little cinnamon toast crunch. Actually, I'm kidding. I wouldn't. I actually think that would make me sick now. I wouldn't enjoy it.
Like a few bites would be
Maybe again, I would have to go.
Like
I'm at a place
some on some
where
of
I'm
your
phasing
ice cream.
out of it. Like, give me a couple bites and I'm good to go. But yeah, give me that pumpkin cereal any day,
Or like we go, we have a date night and we do like our crumble cookie, but it's only on date night. So I would, if people are like, yeah, I sometimes eat crumble cookie versus I eat a crumble cookie on Thursdays.
For us, it's Thursday. We'll go to our date night restaurant. We'll have our same meal probably constantly. We'll always have our soup. We'll have our Caesar salad, and we might change between a pizza and a burger that we share. And then we'll always close it out with the sample pack of cookies, so we can kind of pick and choose and take a bite of each different flavor, and that's it.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole point of the Bright Lines is if you build that stuff in and you make a plan around it, then you're less likely to deviate from the plan. So if you go on vacation, for example, and you say, I'm not going to, well, I guess saying I'm not going to drink at all. But if you say like what that thing was saying, like, I'm not going to drink that much, then okay, it's Tuesday night. And you're like, well, I only had 1 drink on Tuesday night and it's Wednesday night. Well, I only had 2 drinks on Wednesday. It's not that much. You can really rationalize. And then all of a sudden you want to talk about people with eating disorders who I know is listening to this right now. When Chris and I went to Coachella, you've heard this story before.
About the macro counting?
He was counting his macros. We went to Coachella. We had like backstage. It was one of the craziest experiences, like unique experiences, what we got to do at Coachella. He called the venue like a week before to ask him the nutrition content of all the drinks so that he could pre-plan his drinks.
Nice, Chris. I accept all of you, okay?
I don't know if that's a bright line or like the line is on fire and you should probably just put it out at that point.
I mean, well, okay. So I will take it one step further. Once you've established your bright lines, share it with somebody. Share it with somebody, because what good is a bright line? But then if you struggle with these bright lines, share it with someone so they can hold you accountable and they can be aware of the things that you're working on. Right.
Yeah. Like if I were to say to you, like on vacation, okay, like I want to go to this pizza place on Friday night. And that's going to be like we don't really do cheat meals, but I think that they can be very useful. If we were in that season, that's what I want my cheat meal to be. Then, if it's 2 days before the Friday pizza and I'm like, should I get the thing? And you could then say, well, I thought you wanted Friday to be your thing. And then depending on the health of our relationship, that either turns into an argument or not.
Well, but when you share it, I think that's what makes it so you avoid an argument by doing that. Once you share it and you come to, you and your person you shared it with, they're like, okay, cool. Do I have the ability to bring this up if I am observant, to be like, hey, how's your bright lines going? And that's it. It just kind of poses the question back. Be like, okay, cool. You just told me to raise awareness if I saw something that was up. That's it. Because it's like, I'm not calling you out. I'm doing what you've instructed me to do, which is like, you share this with me and you told me, I'm here to help you, hold you accountable to that.
Yeah. If people could really, there's so many parallels between like how we think about money versus how we think about food. If people could tie those, and not everybody thinks well about money either. I know that there's a lot of struggles around that. And that's why so many people are in debt and all that stuff. But like, if you can, it's no different than if you're like, all right, I got $20. I know I want to spend it on X, like our kids with their allowance. And then they're like, see the shiny object over here, like, oh, maybe I want to buy that. And you can be like, hey, I thought remember you said you wanted to wait till tomorrow to get this toy over here. If we could think about food that way.
Totally.
And think about like, and no different than when I go back to like, oh, I didn't eat the starchy carbs because I'm going to eat it with my dessert, because I'm going to spend my carbohydrate money on the dessert. I think that's kind of like what the Weight Watchers point system was.
I see. Interesting.
I think that's how we built it.
Awesome. Well, we're going to get ready to wrap this episode up really quick. I know anyway, I think we were able to cover so much as far as our updated nutrition. I do have a couple community questions that I was going to answer really quick. Salvi, if you want to bring one of those up, Bill. All right. So we need help. I need your help. Best running shoes. I've tried to search on the page for answers. Seems like it hasn't been asked in a while. Thank you. So now that we've gone through this whole process, we did a blog around this, a vlog. We went to Fleet Feet. Now, if you want to do it right, in my opinion now, is you go to a place like that where they actually measure your foot, they do a scan, they see where you strike, so that way they can really assess the different types of shoes that would be beneficial for you. So it's going to be a little bit more of an experience for sure, but it'll cater more towards your foot, right? So Salvi has like a different strike than I do, right, Salvi? I think we have different strikes in our step. So they
Salvi got the flat feet.
And Salvi, you have flat feet?
I do have flat feet.
Yeah, so they'll bring you different options. Now, when you do something like that, you're probably going to be spending no less than $150 for a pair of shoes, which is a little bit, it's definitely up there. Actually, is it though? I feel like all shoes nowadays are like $150.
I don't know.
You know, anyway, if you want a good pair of running shoes, you know, because what I would want to say is like, who knows? It might be Hoka's, it might be Asics, it might be Solomon's or New Balance. They all have good run. It might be Nike, right? It all depends. You're going to have to go out and try the different versions. And it's hard to say and be like, hey, this is a good shoe. One, for that reason, right? Because we don't know what your foot looks like. You could have the flattest of flat feet and I have the best arch in the world. And then there's the go out and run in it, not just for a little test run. You're going to go out and run in it, walk in it for at least 3 miles or more before you start to really get a feel for that shoe.
Yeah, and I would say like there's different types of shoes for different activities. A general like I have my Nike Metcon Freeze that work well for workouts with running in them.
Right.
Like the volume is 1 mile to 1.5 miles of running, and they work fine for that. And then you've got like your more like stiffer shoes, like the Born Primitive shoes that are great for workouts. I don't love them for workouts with running. They work for it, but I don't love it. And then you've got, but if the question is, I'm trying to go do the 10K program or the half marathon program, now you want to look at an actual shoe that is built for running.
Totally. Yes.
And that's what you wear it for. You probably aren't going to want to wear it in like the shoes that I got that Hinshaw suggested for me a couple of years ago. I could never wear those shoes deadlifting and stuff like that. Like I don't even think my heel touches the ground when I'm standing flat footed, you know?
Yeah, no way.
So, but at a certain point when the volume's going to be and the distances are going to be at a certain length, you want to get a shoe that's specifically for running.
Nice. All right. Next question, Salvi. I think we did that one already.
Are we frozen?
Oh, we're not frozen. I don't know if Salvi's frozen. No.
He's trying to click on it. I can see his little blue thing.
Right. It's just like not switching over or something. It's not switching over, huh, Salvi?
What, your shoes are Solomon's?
Hold on. Mine are Solomon's, yes. My shoes are Solomon's, and I love them. I'm actually doing a 5K this weekend. I'm going on Sunday.
With Caitlin.
And Brian, and we're going to be doing that. I'm actually really excited for that. I definitely can see myself pushing to get into the 21 or maybe even sub 21. I'm going to start in the front, and I'm going to go for it. I'm excited.
When you do those, do they have like mile markers?
They have mile markers. They have mile markers, and actually, even the previous one, the mile marker matched up perfectly with the Garmin. As soon as I hit it, it was.
So, have you done the math to know what your pace needs to be per mile, or even like per like 400 or whatever, to know that you're going to hit your goal? Or are you just going to go off of feel? I'm going to go off of feel. Okay. I'm going to go off of feel. So I got to start carbo loading now. I don't think that you do. It's like a 20-minute race.
I know. I'm kidding. Well, now that I know, because if it was like a 25-minute race, then that's a different story. You know, versus a 20-minute race. You know.
Salvi, is it broken?
It might be. Brian Snelson just spent $150 on Altas. Bro, you better shove like take off 5 minutes off that time.
Yeah.
5 minutes. I'm telling you, or you don't hear from me for a week.
6:46 pace.
Let's 6:46 pace. Nelson, you know what? I think I can hold that.
That's like an all-out.
Nelson, I think I can hold that. I am committed. If I go sub 21, Nelson, you're buying me Pokey. And you can send me a Venmo for it. All right. Salvi, it's broken, huh? You can take that off.
Is there another one? I feel like there's more stuff down there. Or is that 2108 is 646? You're gonna have to go like 640.
I don't know
like
what's going on.
644.
Okay. Well, that's for okay. Well, anyway, Kate
6:43.
Sawyer's having a meetup soon, I think, in southern Utah, from what I saw.
Doesn't Kate live in Texas?
But she's traveling, so she just
okay.
wants to do a meetup or something. But yeah, go check it out on the Facebook page. Kate Sawyer is doing a meetup. If you guys are in southern Utah, awesome, just awesome part of our community, amazing part of our community. You got Kate and her husband Andy.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind people. That's about everything. I know you've been really hammering home a lot of sourdoughs and baking. You've been enjoying that?
So I'm in the season where I'm trying to, as I prepare to do homeschool, I'm trying to just, step one is just be home and be okay being home, because I'm such a, like, I feel like I need to be out doing something productive, and I need to be on my computer, and I need to be at Starbucks or filming something or this or that. Otherwise I'm just like a waste of a human being. And this is my thing to overcome. I don't think this about anyone else, by the way, but like, it's hard for me just to stay home. And so what I've realized is that if I get on the sourdough clock, I can't leave because I got to do the folds and I got to do the thing and I got to, so it's actually helped me to stay home.
Well, you did send me a meme that said it was like it's your version of a Tamagotchi pet.
Yeah, there was a meme that said sourdough is just a Tamagotchi pet for people in their 40s.
Totally. Which,
because
hey, that's cool.
You got to remember to feed it, and you got to remember to, do the thing. But once you get on the clock, it's like really intense. Like there's one of the things that like I was doing folds like every 15 minutes for like an hour and a half.
Wow. I remember that. I was like, all right, I'm going to go do something.
Yeah. So I mean, almost every workout video that you guys see, I mean, like it's
You're on the clock.
Oven or
you're on the clock. You're on the clock.
But I've made the sourdough sandwich loaf, which you and the boys all really like.
Have you found good consistency now with the bread?
Yeah, but I'm the only one who eats it, and it makes 2 loaves every time.
What are you talking about? The sandwich bread that you just made?
No, not the sandwich
Oh, okay,
one.
okay.
The other one, the actual sourdough.
Can you make that sourdough instead of like a ball thing? Can you make it into the bread pan? I feel like we eat it more because we could just.
Yeah, I can also try to do like more like a French loaf. Yeah, with it.
Yeah, so just put it in like a pan so it's easier to cut and stuff like that.
Okay.
And it's easier to like make a sandwich out of it. That shape is not fun. I think that's the only thing.
Well, once you cut it, if you cut 2 of them, it would make a really pretty sandwich.
Yeah, but that's just an extra step. Whereas opposed to if you just cut it and it's just a perfectly.
I feel like that's like the bread at Kneaders. You know what I mean? Like it's like.
Yeah.
What do you guys know about Kneaders?
All right, what do we got? See you all at HPHQ meetup before the Utah meetup. That's right. We have our PAL event coming up in June, like so soon, which is Workout with the Cop. Look forward to that.
Also, you guys going on right now is the FYR, the Forging Youth Resilience.
Yeah, Forging Youth
Resilience that we programmed the workout for, which is, I'm gonna Easter egg that there will be some carryover from that workout to one of the vault workouts coming up. So it's good training for one of the upcoming vault workouts.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There we go. Well, we're wrapping up here. Does anybody have any last minute questions to ask before we jump off? We've got a fun Friday ahead of us. I'm looking forward to it. You have any baking today? And this is just, Salvi, you can jump on at this point. We're going to probably be done in like 2 minutes.
I'm going to bake some workouts, some programming.
Oh, you are? You're going to program today?
I got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I've had like, this week has been like full of like so many appointments, I feel like. Like dentist appointments. And
we're good for that Poke Mile. I'm purposely ignoring your comment, Nelson.
Would you rather do the Poke Mile or the
Club Soda one?
The prosciutto mile.
The prosciutto mile. The prosciutto mile is nice and thin, where the Poke's dense. Okay, so I'm gonna really go for it. Okay, so Brian, just if you're still listening, Snelson, we can be friends until that 3, 2, 1 go. Then I'm leaving you. You're gonna have to be alone for a while. You're gonna have to be alone for a good 10. I don't know if he's gonna be able to make it, but Brian Snelson, though, you're gonna have to be alone for about 8 minutes. Okay,
I believe in you, Brian.
I throw it out there that you are participating in your second 5K, which it's a very big commitment of like the whole day, and you have yet to go do your DEXA scan.
I don't mind knocking out my DEXA scan now. I feel pretty good. We've gotten into like at least some kind of
So
sleep
you
flow.
are admitting that the reason that you didn't go do it is because you didn't want to see it.
Totally.
Not because you were too busy or anything.
I didn't want to say it. I knew it. I knew it. I was doing the caliper test.
The boys do the caliper test to your back.
It's the worst, man. Whenever your kids caliper, they pinch your side. It's I don't know. It's the worst
At
feeling
least they don't make
ever.
the comments about your butt that they make about mine.
What?
What the monos say about my butt.
Yeah,
They're always saying it's so big.
Oh, that's so funny.
I was like, Papa's butt's bigger than mine. Why are you talking about his butt?
But they'll just come over. You're sitting down, and they come up behind you, poke. You're just like, don't do that. It's the worst feeling. All right, cool. Looks like everybody feels good. I love it. Thanks for checking in with you guys. Checking in with us this Friday. Next Friday, there will not be a Word on the Street episode because we're going to be out in Southern California. We're going to be filming part of the Vault 2. Round two. We're going to be filming Workout 1 and Round 2 with a buddy of mine that I used to compete in regionals. We were on a team together for 2 years, and his gym now does the Vault. So we're going to be out there. Yeah.
And you're talking about having you and him versus me and his wife. I feel like that's a really weird matchup.
We're not doing performance. It's not a versus.
You've called it versus. I thought it sounded more fun when it was like couple versus couple.
Sure. Okay. We can do that. We'll smoke them.
But like, it's like, hey, we're these like two young guys and we're going to compete against our wives who have had multiple children.
We can. It's fine. We can just. Hey, remember, Street Parking Vault.
But actually, technically, I crushed
scores
you.
don't matter. You just can't miss.
I crushed you in the first Vault workout.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you remember that, Salvi?
Yeah, you crushed me.
That was the one where Banner came in losing his mind.
Yeah, he lost his. Yeah, Banner got really mad. All right. Sounds good. Thank you guys. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Okay. We won't be checking in with you guys.